Cope, please, Mr. Cope.
Was the government right to deny Geert Wilders entry to the UK?
Was the government right to turn him back? Kelvin Mackenzie.
I think they probably were. In the end of the day, he came here just to cause trouble. In his own country, he was facing a charge of racial incitement and hatred. And we have enough issues among our own people not to have effectively an outsider come in and stir it up. So I for one am pleased. I think the government did the right thing.
And so the issue of freedom of speech doesn't arise for you?
It doesn't arise when actually he is, remember, freedom of speech, as somebody said, isn't shouting fire in a crowded theatre. You know, he was coming here not to express a view that he knew was going to be an alternative which was helpful. It was going to be wholly unhelpful, and I'm very pleased that he's not here to spread it. We have enough troublemakers in our own country without inviting others in.
Okay. Justine Greening.
I think the government probably was right to not let this man into the UK. The Dutch Prime Minister described the film that he'd come over here to show as apparently serving no other purpose other than to offend. And I do think that given he's been hopefully prosecuted by the sounds of it by his own country for inciting hatred, he's probably not the right kind of person that we want to allow in. What I would say, though, is I think the government needs to be more consistent in how it treats these sorts of people. This isn't the first kind of person who we probably don't want coming into this country to try and get in. Only last year, though, the government let in Ibrahim Moussaoui, who's a spokesman for Hezbollah. He was able to come into Britain to make speeches up and down the country. And I think many people will say, well, they probably agree with the government on what's happened today, but can't understand why we don't take consistent action with other people who also come to this country to stir up trouble.
The Dutch Foreign Affairs Minister said the fact a Dutch parliamentarian has refused entry to another EU country is regrettable. Monty Don, do you think it's regrettable that somebody's not allowed in?
I think it is in one sense regrettable, in the sense that any kind of censorship, usually the thin end of a wedge, and where do you draw the line? Apparently, I haven't seen the film, apparently it's fairly repulsive and won't do any good, I'm sure of that. But just because we don't agree with something and we don't like it doesn't necessarily mean to say that it shouldn't exist. I don't know if he was going to break the law here, I'm not aware of that, but it was, as far as I know, it was a private viewing and it was a private invitation and it wasn't open to the public. I think, you know, in principle it sounds hideous and I don't want to hear it, but in practice I don't know if censorship works. I don't know if we're talking about it now, we're giving him airtime, we're giving him space. I don't know if it's just fanning the flames and having the opposite effect of what was desired.
I mean, the film... yeah. Yes.
I think this gentleman got what he wanted. This is made now politically and more public. I didn't even know him. Today it's been all over the news. So his message is already gone through now. Everybody's interested. What is it about that he wanted to promote or whatever he wanted to say? If he came in, we wouldn't have known he was coming in. So now they stop him coming in. Everybody knows about him. So of course now we're going to be interested to know what was in the film, what he wanted to say. So it's going to be more whatever his message now is already gone through to everyone. Yeah. Like the fact that we are talking about it today, that means this message is gone through.
Well, the message, yes. The film may have got publicity, and I've watched the film on YouTube, or half of it, today, and it's a mixture of atrocities that were committed. The London bus bombings, 9/11, Spanish train, interspersed with quotations from the Quran. That's the structure of the film. I'm not quite sure why he was coming. It was being shown in the House of Lords, and he was invited apparently to be there to explain it or promote it. I'm not quite sure what. Selma Yaqub.
Personally, I am uncomfortable with censorship. Does Mr. Wilders have the right to provoke or even be offensive? Yes, he does, under freedom of speech. And if he's being barred from the country simply because he offends people's religious sensibilities, then no matter how personally offensive or distasteful I might find his views, I wouldn't support a ban. However, society does have a right, and indeed a duty, to protect itself from people who incite hatred and who incite violence. And if he was deemed to be in breach of our laws in this regard, then in that context a ban would be justifiable. I haven't seen this film, and therefore I can't comment on it directly, but I note that in Holland he's actually facing prosecution charges of incitement to hatred and of discrimination. And furthermore, I find his indignation about being banned and calling for the upholding of freedom of speech a bit hypocritical, considering he actually advocates banning the Quran. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think if he'd come, there would have been demonstrations by Muslims of the kind there were, I don't know, for the satanic verses when Salman Rushdie published? Is it offensive in that kind of way to Islam, do you think?
No, even if people find it offensive, and people have the right to express their offence, as long as it's done in a peaceful way. That's what freedom of speech is about. So if it was just about offence, a person is entitled to express their views, and other people are also entitled to express their opposition to those views. That's what freedom of speech to me.
Right. Salma Yaqub is doubtful that he should have been kept out. Liam Byrne, what's your view?
I think he should have been kept out. I mean, I think, you know, Monty's right, that we have got to stand up for free speech in this country, and that is one, I think, of our longest and our proudest traditions. But, you know, this guy wasn't coming here to exercise his right of free speech. This guy was trying to come here in order to sow division between us in this country. And, you know, right now we've got enough on our plate, you know, and actually we've got a tough year ahead of us, and we're going to come through this year stronger and faster if we pull together as a country.